Into the hunger gauntlet, a dozen cadets from across the galaxy stood silent under a swirling violet sky, strapped into their suits, as the rules echoed in their minds. No food, no tools, no mercy. This was Varela III's famed Hunger Gauntlet 5. Days alone on a barren moon, forbidden even a single nutrient pellet. Most competitors panicked the moment the transport shuttle doors hissed open. Jason Calhoun merely inhaled the acrid air, his eyes scanning the cracked copper-red plane for signs of life. The other cadets scattered like startled skimmers. Vexen engineers tried to recalibrate their implant feeders. Trexian nobles clawed at invisible menus and knitter. None expected true wilderness. None had learned to feed themselves outside holofarms or biochambers. Jason, the lone human, carried only memory and instinct. On Earth's remote frontiers, he had foraged wild mushrooms, snared trout, and drunk from cold mountain springs. Here, far from everything familiar, those instincts mattered more than any advanced tech. He walked to a low ridge where the wind sculpted jagged black rocks into strange spires. Beneath their shadows, tufts of brittle blue moss clung to mineral veins. Jason knelt, ran a gloved finger along the moss's edge, and smelled it, earthy, pungent, with a hint of sulfur. He'd pocketed a small sample in the cloth-lined pouch he'd sewn into his jacket. Behind him, a Sular cadet sneered, "Going to chew lichen human?" Jason didn't answer. He had no time for jeers. As dusk deepened the purple sky, Jason sheltered. Under a flat slab of volcanic rock, he ignited a tiny flame through a salvage lens, no heat shielding, just focused sunlight. In small folded metal bowls, he boiled water from condensation traps, adding moss shavings to test for bitterness or burn. When the first pale nuggets tasted only faintly metallic, he marked them as possible. Meanwhile, most other cadets huddled near the landing site, trading fears they'd never face real hunger. Jason slept lightly, dreams of Earth's forests dancing behind closed lids dot by dawn. He'd tested 3 specimens: the blue moss, a stiff orange bulb beneath a thorned vine, and a squat gray fungus sprouting in damp crevices. None poisoned him. Hunger drove every bite bitter, chewy, sustaining only a trickle of energy, but at least he remained conscious. At the central camp, panicked shouts echoed as cadets collapsed, convulsing or vomiting dark bile. Jason moved on, silent, methodical, believing that observation and slow trials would save him. He was not here to impress instructors or win glory. He was here to survive. And as the twin moons set and the violet night deepened, he felt a quiet confidence. On this moon that wanted him dead of thirst or starvation, humanity's oldest skill finding food where none seemed to exist would prevail. Foraging the unforgiving the second morning brought groans and bleak faces. Cadets clustered around the only remaining water stills, tiny droplets twinkling on their collectors. A half dozen tried to break into one another's packs. Jason, already awake, rinsed last night's broth residue from a metal bowl. His diet 3. Roasted insect legs, a spoon of fermented bulb paste, and boiled moss flakes had left him weak but alive. He evaluated each sample's effect. The bulb's mild heat hinted at alkaloids. The fungus's gumminess suggested starch, and the moss's mineral tang spoke of iron. He headed into a deep ravine scarred by wind, where moisture pooled under rock ledges. There, he found spindly silverfish insects scuttling among damp stones. He trapped half a dozen in a folded metal cone and roasted them over his lens flame until crisp. The legs snapped like popcorn and carried a nutty, protein-rich taste. Cadets passed out at the rim, but Jason feasted, mindful to eat just enough to keep strength further in. He spotted vine-like creepers twisting over black soil, their stems chewed into by insects. Jason cut a length, tasted the sap. It was bland, but not toxic. Encouraged, he scraped off the green epidermis, revealing a pale core he dried in the sun for easier transport. Each new find he labeled in a tiny notepad, coded with symbols only he'd recognize. Back at his sheltered alcove, he boiled a handful of spores scraped from damp fungus, creating a murky stew. One sip burned his tongue, but not fatally. He swirled the liquid, watching nutrients cling to the spoon's edge. He ate it guardedly, gauging the effect. When his stomach churned but settled, he smiled. Data. Edible under heat, moderate calories, mild side effects. Meanwhile, at the main camp, panic turned to desperation. A Trexian cadet named Sarek tried to synthesize calories through illicit biomatrices, only to collapse with overload circuits. A fallen engineer from Saturn's moons begged Jason for help, but Jason offered nothing. Figure it out, he'd said. This test isn't about pity. Most cadets didn't survive past the second day. Jason believed the gauntlet was not just a test of endurance, but of self-reliance. As violet dusk bled into black. Jason organized his stash, dried insect clusters for protein, fermented bulb shavings for energy bursts, roasted fungus slices for carbs, and raw creeper stalks for fiber. Enough for 2 days if rationed carefully. He lay beneath his rock slab, planning the next day's exploration deeper into the ravine's hidden streams. Hunger was real, but he was learning to thrive on the planet's harsh gifts. Fire and flavor on the third dawn. Jason's camp crackled with controlled flames. He had refined his lens technique, producing a hotter, steadier fire for cooking. Today he would test combinations. Moss flakes mixed with crushed fungus, bulb paste stirred into insect broth, stalk dust sprinkled over roasted legs. Each recipe he recorded in his mind like a chef's secret code. A sneering Sarek stalked in, eyes reddened with starvation. Show me one edible thing, he demanded. Jason didn't flinch. He offered a tiny roasted mushroom sliver on a bone carved skewer. Sarek bit down and coughed violently. His species lacked enzymes to break down fungal cell walls. Jason quietly withdrew the mushroom. Different biology, he said. Try this instead. He handed over a dried insect leg. Sarek stared, then ate. He paused chewing, then nodded in grudging respect. Word spread. Half the remaining cadets stumbled over, hoping Jason would share his methods. He taught them step by step how to discern edible moss by color, how to boil away toxins in bulbs, how to roast insects until they crisped but didn't burn. Alien tongues clicked curiosity and fear. Some vomited. Others found renewed vigor. Jason watched from his alcove, offering bits to those who proved careful students. At midday, moisture pockets beneath ledges drew a crowd. Jason led a small party to harvest water-rich stalks. He cut them open, milk-white sap oozing forth. Cadets sucked droplets to ease thirst. He cautioned, sip slowly, too much at once overwhelms your kidneys. A tick of warning they heeded. That night's feast was modest but communal. A stew of insect broth, thickened with ground fungus, flavored by moss salt and bulb-infused oil. Around the fire, exhausted cadets ate in companionable silence. Jason felt a surge of kinship. This was not conquest, but cooperation. He'd won something more than survival. The trust of desperate strangers. As violet stars blinked through the thin atmosphere. Jason closed his eyes, content. He had transformed Varela 3's weeds into meals, proving that human creativity and perseverance could thrive where technology alone failed. The water war on the fourth day. Water became the true battleground. The condensation still yielded. Only drips. A panicked alien faction raided Jason's hidden cistern, an underground hollow he'd carved beneath stones. They charged in with crude spears, desperate and half-dash. Mad. Jason leapt up, heart pounding. He dropped a handful of crushed moss into a small canister, ignited it with his lens trick, and released a thin plume of pungent smoke. The moss's natural oils burned bright, creating a harmless but choking smokescreen. The raiders coughed and fled, abandoning stolen water skins. He retrieved his cistern and confronted them. If you attack, we all die. If you learn, we all live. Through broken translator circuits, he offered to teach water extraction from deep-rooted vines and moisture-rich fungi. Some tried to stab him. Others, starving and scared, joined him instead. Group foraging missions ensued. Jason led cadets into caves where mineral-laced drips formed stalactite gardens. They harvested those for calcium and water. Alien engineers rigged makeshift filters from moss membranes, Jason's idea to purify fluid. For the first time, survivors worked as one team, blending xenoscience with human improvisation. That dusk, as they boiled a vat of fungus and bulb soup, laughter rose over the crackle of flame. They shared stories of home worlds, of families. Waiting, Jason realized the gauntlet had become more than a survival test. It was a crucible forging bonds across species. He ate sparingly, but he ate, and so did they. Triumph and tribute. On the final morning, rescue shuttles pierced the dusty sky. Only Jason and 5 other cadets walked to the landing zone upright. The rest collapsed, cured neither by tech nor prayer. As the shuttle doors opened, the survivors, human, Trexian, Vexen, Suler saluted Jason, their unlikely hero, back at the academy. Instructors crowded around his logbook of samples, recipes, and field notes. Deans declared his methods the new. Survival standard, real-time testing, slow trials, creative use of native biota. Jason watched with modest pride as his simple weed meals earned academic praise. At a gala ceremony, he received the Gauntlet Medal for excellence in survival ingenuity. Cadets from countless worlds cheered. Jason accepted the honor on behalf of humanity's oldest lesson, adapt or perish. In his satchel, a single sprig of blue moss preserved under glass rested as a reminder that even the meanest planet can feed those who learn its secret language. As he looked out at Varela 3's scarred horizon, Jason smiled. He had turned starvation into sustenance, fear into fellowship, weeds into wonder. Humanity had once again proved that where machines fail, human ingenuity prevails.